Hi, Foster.
Hi, Giovanni.
I'm so happy to see you here, to have you here. Really happy. I want to tell all our friends who will be listening that you really changed my life. And you changed my life as a human, but also as a physician and healer. And so I ask you to be here with me to discuss a bit about, whatever you want, but also mainly about healing and what we are, who we are. Because I think we need so much to clarify who we are, what we are, because we can decide how to manage our life, but also how to manage the relationship with other people and our path. Why are we here? And so, I have some questions, but anyway, the first question is, who are you, Foster?
Well, like everybody, I came here only to do service. And my purpose in life is to be a servant to other people to understand healing, especially emotional healing this time. And of course, we are all spirits who have come into a body, and we are always going to be spiritual. We're going to align with our spirit more than anything in this life. And one of the purposes of our lives, of course, is to gain experience, to gain light, and to have enough light that we transform. But who am I personally? Well, I was a very regular person. I was hit by lightning 3 times. I began as a healer when I was 11 years old, and I worked in different churches and different places, and was deeply exploited and manipulated for the gifts that I had. And as more gifts opened, many people tried to take advantage of that. Yeah. So I learned how to take care of myself and to still offer the service, how to be smart enough, wise enough. I learned that to stay in spirituality is health. And I learned to stay on the cutting edge of spirituality. It's not enough just to be awakened. It's more important to be on the edge and to really go before other people, to live more in what is coming. For most people, it's the future. But in fact, it is this moment. And unless we are completely, aware of something that will happen and be understood many years from now. For instance, now with COVID, I believe the people who are strong are the ones that survived the Black Plague in Europe. If your ancestors survived the Black Plague, they have a stronger immune system. If you are living in alignment with your body and your mind, that spirit inside of you, your spirituality that you are living, where there's no fight between your body and mind, you get through this period very well.
Yeah.
Because I believe this period is to separate people who are living in the past, who are not going forward in their lives, and those that want the future, that want to create, their, how can I say this to you? The cutting edge of life. Who are those that are ready for something more, who want more in their lives? Those are the people that always survive. Those are the people that are going to go forward now. And those that live in the past that are not moving ahead, who still believe only in materialism and believe only in, a genetic understanding of their health, without realizing how they can change even that with their consciousness. I think those people stay behind, Giovanna. But I studied to be a shaman for 12 years. And, I was trained, and then I did my service in shamanism. And then I was trained in hermetics, in higher magic and spirituality and Kabbalah and all those things. And that was another 12 years. So I spent a lot of time in training and teaching at the same time.
Well, that's one point. At least in Italy, you were trained, but very well trained, because up to now I think we are seeing many false training, and that's a problem, because we cannot believe in the real medicine, that is this whole medicine, spiritual medicine, if we see this phenomena of small training, just to say I'm a shaman, for example, and it's a real problem. Don't you think so?
I do. We all have to be authentic. And I understand that people are finding their authenticity now. They're finding their voice. They're finding their real direction in life. And then they become coaches. I understand that. And many of them, transform as doctors. They become, shamanic doctors or healer doctors, which was what we want in life. To know somebody's, first of all, their karmic imprints. Karmic imprints are past life imprints that are very important for healing, because many people are still healing that, but we cannot live in the past. And I don't believe in karma.
Okay.
I always believe in choice. I believe that all of us are making choices every moment that can dissolve our karmas. Karma was a kind of propaganda. I never believe in religious propaganda. I only believe in the truth. And that's another thing. People who are just getting, a 1-week training and then teaching may have a gift, but they have to experience that gift. They need more experience. So we're living in a time of a lot of very simplified teachers who want to help other people, but don't get trained. I chose a very harsh training. There are two different paths, the easy path and the hard path. And I wanted a hard path because the beginning of my life was very easy. So I wanted a challenge. And I think that's part of discipline. Part of the discipline also of what you eat and how you eat and your consciousness. That's all part of healing. The most important part is also what you're thinking all day long. Where do your thoughts go? I don't believe in sin. I don't believe there's anything wrong with a person. I believe that everybody is born enlightened, and that inside of you is already an enlightened being. You just have to find it. You have to listen to that and not to all the problems and all the negativity and all the jealousy. It is you have to watch yourself, do a self-inquiry. Do you understand? All the time. And that's how I was trained. And yes, we all start with the same negative thoughts and the same putting ourselves down and the same belief systems from our parents. But one day, we are trained that is not the most important voice. That out of all the voices, the most important is your spirit that looks behind your eyes and never really ages. And the first time, Giovanna, I met people who were immortal, who don't die, people who were adept. I used to love Italy just for Padre Pio, or I loved Italy for, the Renaissance and all the great teachers who taught this. But I was trained the same way, that a human being has every possibility, Giovanna, that we are capable of immortality, and that we were that way in Babylon. We were that way. I know people don't remember Atlantis or Lemuria. They don't remember the Titans who gave us their blood. And so I spent in my shaman years developing my Titan blood before the gods. Who were the Titans? They didn't eat their children. That's all propaganda. Who were they really? They gave us their bloodlines like dragons. I love dragons because dragons in the East they are the teachers of immortality. And if you're not afraid of the dragon, if you see it inside the earth, you see it as energy around you, you develop that fire inside of you, of the dragon. And that fire is the beginning stages of remembering something so far in the past that we've all forgotten, that we're capable of things much more than gods. And so my teachers were always training me. This is what immortality is. Everything is possible because of your blood, because of the way you were created with the spark of life, because what we call God, he has a name, El Elyon, El. El. And that's the father god. And the female goddess, of course, that we honor more than anything, who has many, many names. I prefer Hecate because, I love the Titans. Hecate to me is the one god that nobody ever puts down because she's kind of the number one. She always teaches me everything is limitless. We can achieve things we cannot imagine. So when I was in laboratories, to test me for healing, I was on many shows, television shows and things in China, all over the world, where just the power of faith, the power of belief to heal. It didn't matter what you believed. It mattered that you believed in the healing. And you commanded the body to get well. That you learned in your whole life different letters that if you put them together are for healing, or different visualizations for healing. Just the power of no gap between what you believe and the healing itself. That I know you can be healed before you're healed, before anybody ever touches you or thinks of you. And I also learned that the more knowledge you have, real knowledge, I mean, how that changes your life and how people become very jealous of you because you can improve your life on such a high level. And I'm much more interested in everybody learning that. But, people fall away. They don't have the discipline or they don't really listen. But if they did, we all go up together. We all rise together. It's not just a few, but in the end, it is a few. I hate to say it, but in life, only a few people really do make it to the next level. And they bring everybody with them over generations. And, you're in that first group and have to be an example for others. And those that want to join will join. And those that don't have any spiritual understanding, have no awakening of their Titan blood, we call it. It's titanic, it's gigantic. Oh. They don't progress. But if you really want it, if you really desire to be like these Titans, so long ago, these giants, who mated probably with human beings and created all this. I don't believe in the powers that be. I'm not a manipulated person. I don't believe very much in religions or any of that. I believe in genuine sincerity and in following a truth that nobody talks about. And that's what the shamans taught me. Always see behind the words and see behind the religions. And find out what was real at the beginning, because that will lead you to not only immortality and a higher mind, but to the great beauty, which Italy loves. The great beauty is inside, Giovanna. It is light. It is a condensation of light, which is why we incarnate. We try to make the light so condensed that we can go higher after we die. And everything that we create in our lives is generated by the mind. So when you die, you're facing yourself and you're facing aspects of your own mind. So if you're in fear, if you're in doubt, if you don't believe anything, that's what you see. And the thing that I love more than anything is the earth. She is, Ea, Ea for me. She's the first two letters of earth. She's Gaia now. Mm-hmm. And she has had a very long journey through many solar systems. The earth is not a rock, and it's not a place that we just fix here. It came from a mother universe. It came from so far away and has been on such a huge journey. And the earth herself took us with it. And this long journey through so many galaxies and solar systems, the earth existed before the Big Bang. The Big Bang was only the birth of this solar system. She existed way before that. And we are, in a way, time travelers like she is. We have traveled so many galaxies. And the more we wake up to her and what she has to teach us, the more we understand, I'm not a big believer only in a Father God, El Elyon, who I do love, but also the Mother Goddess and her reign that is growing now on a level we can't imagine. That everything that people told you was bad and wrong, about gods and goddesses and all this in the past, actually they are wonderful beings. And the beings that we have now that everybody worships are actually the bad beings. So you learn that human beings are very enslaved. They're enslaved by the wrong God. So if we have false teachers, it's because human beings are enslaved by false gods. That's the first thing you learn in shamanism. Yeah. So to find yourself, to find the true divinity within you, and to transcend these petty gods that all want control of the earth, and believe so much in themselves. Why we have all this narcissism, why people are so insecure about themselves, because the gods are. That ancient Rome understood. But we have to follow something so real that is a great light, Giovanna. And you follow that intuitively. You follow it because of your sincerity and because your own health depends on it. And it's anti-violence, it's anti all that. But in the end, it has nothing to do with it. We stay in our frequency, which is a much higher frequency. That is healing. And to adapt to that frequency takes time, because you have to get rid of everything that is in the way, everything that is blinding you, everything that is distorting your vision, that is distorting seeing yourself as enlightened and real and truthful, the great beauty. To finally love our bodies, to finally love ourselves again after we've been told that we're sinful and wrong and everything's wrong with us. And from birth, people say, oh, look at even the way you cry, look at the way you look. It's too much. And you finally have to say, none of that is real. I don't believe any of that. I'm not attached to what people say. I trust what I feel.
Yeah.
And once you trust what you feel, life becomes extraordinary. I feel this. I finally feel the sun. I finally feel the earth beneath my feet. That's what the shamans taught me. Feel it like you just arrived here. And feel the plants. Talk to the plants. Don't believe what everybody says that plants don't talk. The first time a plant talked to me, I thought, oh my goodness. St. Francis, right?
Yeah.
Or when animals, came and protected me, or came like a hummingbird came when I was struck by lightning, and a hummingbird came and sat in front of my face and said, are you okay? Are you okay? Because this is your enlightenment, literally. And I felt this joy, the joy of living again. I died a few times and I came back, and each time I was filled with more joy from the other side. Because I realized when we die, it's wonderful. That there's nothing to fear. That we create, our own illusions in life. And when we die, we create the same illusions, but somebody eventually comes and gets us. And when I died, they finally explained to me, oh, stop thinking about angels and demons and all this kind of stuff. That's earth. We are beings of light. We are extraordinary. And we're here to assist you. We take you to what you achieved on earth, to your vibratory frequency. Medicine is vibratory frequency.
Yeah.
Everything is a sound. So you want to go back to earth and you want to communicate with everything? Do you want to communicate with trees, the dryads? Do you want to communicate with the spirit of things? And that began shamanism for me. To listen to everything being alive again. And then to hear somebody's heart. Not just their third eye, which is cold, hard facts, which is also good. We need the cold, hard facts. Otherwise, we're idiots, But we also have to listen to the heart. And, you just focusing on a body begins to heal. You putting the loving touch on somebody who hasn't felt love all their life melts them. And, you have that capacity, as many people do, real healers. And of course, my father was a doctor. He was, the head of a hospital. He was a psychiatrist, neurologist. He was a great healer. He was the head of a hypnosis as well. And I loved him, and he taught me many things. And my mother didn't believe after a while in religions. She believed in the feminine. She believed in the magic of the feminine. And in fact, was a true, I would say, a stragera, who believed in herself. And she believed in the lineage that came before her. of women who stood up to authority, who said no, who believed in their own strength, that though I want this good life and I want to be with this husband, I have my own belief and he can't make me do something I don't want to do. And I've always been a champion of women, that's for sure, and of men that I believe have a spiritual calling, And I've worked with so many people, the presidents of different companies and countries and all that stuff, because we're also want to inspire the world to be better, to find an enlightened way of ruling.
Yeah. And well, in fact, you are teaching all over the world and you are traveling together with Kristos. And
wonderful.
Yeah. I have to say that, all my books have your teachings inside. So when patients say, oh, I want to repeat that thing with the candle, well, it's your thing, actually.
I love that you do that.
But anyway, really, sometimes I think that you are traveling so much, and then you have all these online sessions and lessons and private sessions and so on. Well, I'm sure it's good because it's your choice, but sometimes I think it's really, really a huge amount of work and effort for you and for Kristos. But
Kristos, we were talking the other day, we were in Italy and he bilocated, he was teaching in the workshop and he was talking to somebody outside and we were all laughing because he was so tired. He left his body and appeared somewhere else. And we fell in love with Italy. We had many miracles in Italy. He wanted the Mother of God to come through him. And he started to get stigmata, because we love Padre Pio and all that stigmata. And his hands were on fire and he got 3rd-degree burns because she wanted to talk to him.
Wow.
But what she said was so incredible. She was the universal knowledge. And that touched me, that people forget that we can communicate directly. You are a kind of channel of truth. That's what you are. And when people are a medium for, people say, oh, that can't be real. This is much more real because it touches you. Because it changes you so fundamentally, radically. Yes, we travel too much, but I love Africa. And sometimes I want to be in Africa and I want to do, the religion of Africa, which I find absolutely beautiful. Sometimes I want to be in China and I want to teach the Chinese about who were the original shamans there. And then they all fall in love with dragons. They already love dragons. They already love the original, the original people, even Kuan Yin. Or then, I go to India and I explain what Shambhala is, what is the solar language, what is the moon language. And I fall in love with cultures because I remember them all. And for me, this is the long goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm saying goodbye to an earth that I love so much and the people. You have to love people, Giovanna, no matter what happens, no matter how difficult it gets here. And believe me, this is a very difficult world. People are full of dogmas and beliefs and that they hold by, and who knows what foundation it is, but it's only their brain that says, I don't want change and I have to believe this. And, the brain doesn't like to change too much. That's why the shamans were always tricking me, teaching me how to be hot when it was cold outside, how to be cold when it was hot. I love all those. How to run really fast up a hill, in record time, without thinking about all the rocks in front of you, how to be in a trance. And I believe we are all capable of seeing through somebody and then acting on it enough that changes us fundamentally so that we're not afraid of anything or anyone. That's the beginning of our truth, right? You who are so full of eyes, who are always seeing, I love the eye because, we have many eyes in the, mate, whatever. But, the eyes protect us. They send everything back that people give us.
Yeah.
I believe very strongly, certainly in protection. But that protection is our spiritual development. The more we're on the cutting edge, the more we align ourselves, the more protected.
That's a great point to discuss on, because protection and cleaning and purifying, it's so common for me to receive this question. And of course, I use what I learned from you, to be honest. How can we protect ourselves energetically, and how we clean ourselves, house or something, well, whatever, and how we can purify ourselves?
Oh, it's so simple because it's always water and salt. Water and salt is great. Earth is the salt. We are the salt of the earth. And then water is, of course, the great cleanser, like the frog medicine and all these kind of animals of the sea. Water, because water is billions of years old, because of its intelligence, that when you realize, see, that when your consciousness understands that water is alive and that it contains so much knowledge, then water purifies and water protects. It's your consciousness with the water. Whenever I go to the ocean, I always give more water to the water. I bring a glass of water and people think, oh, you're crazy. No, I'm not. That's abundance. That's to reinforce the idea that there's so much more.
Yeah.
Of course, we are living in quite a troubled time at the same time. So protection is something different now because the earth is changing. We're going through global warming, but much more than that. We have the sun that is changing its cycles. We're in a fire cycle now. A lot is about to happen in a purification of the earth. And the earth always goes through this. This is an upheaval. This is the end of religion in this century.
Yeah.
Realize what a massive upheaval, meaning there's going to be a revelation about the truth. What's really going on here. It's not what we think. So when you protect yourself, knowing who you are is a great protection. But, in Italy, I would use the archangels. I would use like Michael to my right, Uriel to my left, Raphael in front of me, Gabriel behind me. For more ancient people, I would use the four winds. Shamans love the four winds, Zephyr, all that. I'm a child of the Watchers. The Watchers were a very ancient race. Enoch was a watcher. A lot of great prophets were watchers. A lot of women were watchers. They never talk about the women watchers. And they had their children, and we are their children. So sometimes I call on them for protection. The great watcher, Grigori, they say in Italy, Grigori. I also went through in protection like an egg. I see myself as an egg. You have the yellow sun inside of you. You have the white moon in you, and then you have a shell. That's your aura. So eggshells are fantastic ways to protect yourself. Cascaria. I also love very much, reinforcing your aura. How do you reinforce your aura? Well, the aura is not as important as the sheets between each layer. And the sheets between each layer is what we call the matrix. If I astral travel or something, and especially at night, the layers go very far out. When somebody's in a coma, wow, they're like an accordion, they're too far away. So you have to either condense your aura or you pull it out and to expand to experience something else. Because you can experience anything, a stone, a mountain, another person. So when you are protecting yourself in your aura, you can put symbols in your aura to protect yourself. You can place things inside of you that elevate you so that you're not below the cloud, you're above the clouds. Mm-hmm. Even in depression, there are certain, phrases you can use that get you out of depression. Even in Kabbalah, they use a phrase, Adonai, Adonai, Adonai. Adonai, one of the names. Adonai just dissolves things. So it dissolves every negative thought. So you're protected. I always cast a circle around myself. That's number one. I always call my animal protector. An animal protector is called, a familiar, something that really protects you. Whatever animal has been coming to you all your life doesn't want to be rejected, but they choose you. You don't choose them. And when my animal first came and protected me, that was great. I also have a guide that protects me, who is an Aztec warrior. So I have a spiritual guide who loves to protect me. Because, I saved their life, now they saved my life. Mm-hmm. That's also why you want to create friendships in life. Because they last beyond life. And yesterday I was doing a wonderful ceremony, and my dead grandparents, my yaya, my papu, my auntie, they all came because we had opened up a door just by using numbers. I was using a frequency of numbers that if you repeat it 45 times, you enter into, you create what we call a stargate, a vortex, and it opens. And then the dead can come and visit you. And they come and they say, "Oh, what are you doing?" So of course I talked in Greek for them because, we were doing a Greek ritual in Greek for Hecate. But it was a beautiful ritual, and they were listening to the Greek, and they so fascinated. Even though they're dead, they want to be there. They want to learn. Everybody keeps learning, and it touched me so deeply. I can be deeply emotional, even though we must develop our mental mind. We're in a physical body, but we have an astral body, meaning an emotional body. The emotional body is more important actually than the physical. Then we have the mental body. I like to step out of my astral body, and then I go into my mental body, which is amazing because you can go much further. Then you step out of your mental body into your divine body. Now then you can commune with divinity.
Wow.
Mother, Father, God. And that's the way we should all live. We should all be able to do that. And how do we prepare ourselves for that? By building enough energy with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our love for ourselves, right, Giovanna? To fall in love finally, even with this little body, and not keep comparing it to everybody else, right? And feeling her, this goddess's unbelievable love, or El Elyon, the Father God's love. Melchizedek, long time ago, this king, he said, will you follow El Elyon? Will you follow, who I love so much? Jesus said the same thing, right? Will you follow El Elyon? And everybody doesn't. They always follow some false god. It's very funny life on earth. Everybody knows the right way, but they all want to be tempted, with powers and with ridiculous, insecure gods. Children, I call them children gods. What if we are people who have we're awakened, and no illness like COVID can affect us anymore? What if COVID was also created to weed out, who is spiritual and who's not, who's really on their path, and who says, I've had enough of the earth. I tried my best. I did my best. I can go now. They did their best. They did what they could. But life is for something very new, very different. Of course, it has to be ecological. That's why I'm a shaman. You have to eventually, take care of the earth, like the body, the same way we take care of our body. So real healing, once I put a circle around myself, my own tears always protect me, I have to tell you. I know why people cry a lot, but when you cry very sincerely, nothing can come near you. Because tears are so powerful. Because they come from your own life.
That's something really, it's impressive, because I usually, when I'm alone and I'm very deep in me, I have tears. I cry. Yeah. I've never thought about it.
And it's like the dew, that liquid on every plant, in the morning, that very special dew that all the alchemists use. They love the dew.
Yeah.
Of course, a shaman works with the alchemy of their body. They make their own towers, because they end up being alone. You know how it is. We end up eventually alone in a tower, creating in ourselves the transformation, what we would say, the translation into light. You will do that one day. We'll all do that one day.
Yeah.
We will all find the tower of our own solitude. And we will be guided how to do it. I know the whole procedure, what you should do. But it's better to be said than to do it. It's quite hard to do, but worth it. It's worth it.
I can imagine. Well, I always follow your teaching, so I trust.
People are afraid of power, aren't they? They're so afraid of their own power.
I trust. Well, I want to tell our friends listening that you treat people also with voice. And so for me, it's a bit difficult to stay on the questions because I'm listening and you are treating me, and so I'm healing, and your voice is treating always. And voice. First time I saw you, and then after I think a year, Kristos told me that voice is a great way to treat people, also people with severe illness. And words and voice and the vibration of the voice are really a therapy. And this is my research. Next book is on this.
Well, because the world was created by the word.
Yeah.
It's the voice. It's creational.
Yeah.
So like, when I want to call a storm, I have to make the sound of a storm. Sometimes I try to make, my body move like a storm, but I also make a sound. Mm-hmm. And when you sing the storm, the rain comes. That's what I try to do in California now, because they have a drought. But when you make the sound of something and you connect to it, you are calling it to you. Like when you call creation to you, the beginning of creation, through sound, you want to find the original sounds. That's the sounds of power. That's how you can heal every single organ, by its original sound. What was the sound when that organ was created? Mm-hmm. And when I'm singing to you, I love to sing through the body, but I'm also singing the song of your healing, the song of returning you back to creation, to the beginning, to your original self, the Titan in you. I'm actually singing all that on purpose. So when I first started in shamanism, they made me sing harmonics, overtones. Then they made me learn different instruments like flutes and trumpets, all this kind of fun thing. Mm-hmm. You had to learn to make sounds. And then you go further with mantra and ends. We call them ends, where you make very specific sounds and you call any deity you want with a sound. It's like a telephone system. Even in Kabbalah, there's a telephone system in Hebrew, there's a telephone system in Italian, and you call the divine beings. And when they come, then you interact with them, and they also want to see if you're authentic. Are you sincere? They always want to help. You know how beings are. They're always helpful. And then something more happened. Then comes, they put cancer cells in front of me in a laboratory. This was an experiment with all these doctors. And I just sang to the test tubes. But it was a different frequency for every test tube. So I had to trust my guides, my intuition, my spirit. You have to have a close connection to your guides. I hate to say it, Giovanna. You have to just trust them. Trust is everything, really. It's a kind of innocence. And they sang through me to these cells. And one after another, each test tube, the cancers reversed themselves. Yeah. You gave them information. Like I told one cancer cell, you have to go to sleep, because if you continue like this, you will die, because the person will die, you will die. And then the purpose of your life is to keep living, not to destroy somebody. You just want to live. So maybe you should go to sleep and calcify yourself. And they started to see the logic in that. It's very funny, a cancer cell and logic. And it started to die. Yeah. Or it just started to go to sleep, because then at least it could stay in a stasis. I think this is the power of sound, Giovanna. I do believe in all the solfeggio frequencies, and we work with. We went into a laboratory and we did 100,000 to 300,000 hertz, which is to dissolve cancers. And we started to play with that in hospitals. We wanted people to hear these sounds, and you play music underneath it so that it seems pleasant, but in fact, there's this very high tone all the time. And your body entrains to the most dominant sound. That's also important, the dominant sound. Because there can be street sounds, many sounds at the same time, but your brain will only entrain to the dominant. And I like to make 2 sounds at the same time, or 3, so that your brain has to harmonize them, which harmonizes the liquids in the brain, which automatically, distracts a person from their old way of creating illnesses. You know how people psychosomatically are creating illnesses. Yeah. To get attention, to rest, to say time out. That's why people have illnesses. So I loved COVID to the point of at least people had a time out. At least they rested a little bit. That illness has many things. People get attention that way. It's a lot of things, illness. It's old habits too. So when you finally entrain the body to being well because you have a purpose, you have a purpose. I would tell people, have a purpose. If your purpose is to help others, if your purpose is to help yourself, I don't care. At least it's a purpose to make yourself better, to want more. People always say, I don't want to want more. I don't want more in life. But that's not a good thing to do. This is a world of desire. The whole world was created out of desire. And you have to want more without destroying the earth. Can you want more? You want more, dear. You want more knowledge. You want more truth. And you want to know more about frequency.
Yeah.
But sound can do almost anything. I told you I met that shaman who could walk through the walls. Yeah. And I don't know how he did it, but it was a kind of sound you heard. And then, he had a very strong mind and he just walked through the wall. You need evidence that things are possible. They're possible. Everything is possible.
Yeah, I believe it. I learned from you this talking to cancer cells and teaching patients to talk to cancer cells. And I have to say that I see some results. But the fact is that if you treat, let's say, patients in this way, then you have the opposite behavior from, let's say, a part of medicine. And then, okay, in this part, the patient is trying to talk to cancer cells, to set the mind, to send the... And then the message is, oh, no, there is a metastasis, or there is, it's not possible.
Right.
Well, it's difficult because these are words also. These are voices. And then my personal problem with these patients is to put together different voices. Because if I use one voice trying to reach the healing, okay, then there are opposite voices saying, oh, no, it's not possible because this is the CT scan, this is the MRI, this is the likelihood of healing. It's really difficult, but I saw patients getting better, even in very dramatic situations. I saw them. And I remember, I'm sorry, I'm taking too long, but
I love it.
One of my patients told me, oh, I strongly believe it's true. I'm doing everything. I'm doing meditation, visualization. I'm talking to my body. But then I can't understand why my doctors want me to know that I'm dying anyway. And her exams were doing like this. It's incredible. That's something I cannot understand. Why? We have words, we have voice. We know that our global situation depends on how we feel, how we trust. As you told me, as you told us, how much I want to stay here. I have something to do. Then why? Why you have to tell them, oh, it's over? Why? I don't understand.
So they told Kristos' father that he only had 1 month to live. They told my father 6 months to live. My father lived 9 years. Yeah. His father lived 13 years.
Yeah.
We put them on a different diet without telling them. We made them different food without telling them. We implanted new ideas into them. So the idea is, Kristos didn't even tell his father that the doctor told him he only had a month to live. So that way he deleted the program.
Yeah.
My father, who was a doctor, of course, they told him. So to delete that program, which we call, these are called imprints. The first 7 years of your life, you're full. You have to copy your parents. So you're full of imprints. Yeah. And then later on, you have to overcome the copy. You have to sieve and see what's good, what works, what doesn't work in your life, but what I don't want. But what happens in being told by a doctor that you only have a few months to live, Giovanna, it is an implant. Like, who had died of breast cancer in your family, or who died of a heart attack? You have now a 90% chance. Or let's immunize you before you ever get sick, and let's create all these things just in case you get sick. It doesn't work that way. That's not how healing works. So it's fear. I tell you, a lot of it is fear-based. And when you give into fear like that, you are in effect lowering your immunity. So doctors will have to learn eventually that what they say to their patients, even despite being sued, for malpractice, they have to be able to say, maybe the real truth is, according to medicine, you have 6 months to live, but I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I think that's what a doctor has to say. I believe you can live if you want, if you change this, and this, or if you really have the conviction that you want to change your life, that you're not so exhausted and so tired that you're giving up. And I believe we have to change that as a society. We have to have better food in hospitals. We have to have, maybe some actual music in a hospital, that's hidden music, but it's frequencies, so that people get better in hospitals, not places where you go to die. My grandmother used to say, I don't go to a hospital because that's where I die. That generation definitely believe that. Hospitals are healing places. They are. There are a lot of spirits there. There's a lot going on. I've been with a lot of dead people in hospitals, trying to help them go to the light by lighting a candle and talking to them. Yeah. So when you're talking about implants, how do you get rid of implants? You can only fire them. You can only burn them up with light. You must fire them, meaning you have to shift your way of thinking. And you have to negate the voices inside of you from other people, including those that want you to die. They're the people in your family who want your money. They're the people in your family who are so jealous of you and they would love you out of the way because they love somebody else who was close to you, whatever it is. You have to finally realize, what voice am I going to listen to? That's the first, courage. Yeah. And that courage is, I choose life. Yeah. And whatever it is that you didn't live, you didn't live this dream or this passion or something in your childhood that you're starting to remember again, or maybe, some film or some book opened up, the memory for you. And then you start to say, maybe I missed that. And instead of regretting what you missed, I would start to develop it. If you never wrote, you start to write. If you never paint, you start to paint. If you've never done magic, you start magic. And if you've never worn a beautiful dress, it's the moment to be a beautiful woman. Whatever, it could be such a small thing. And that starts you on the path. And you do need a support system, Giovanna. You need enough doctors or friends who say, we want you to live. Yeah. You're valuable to us because, you're a child of God. You're a child of the goddess. And that awakens people like, you love me? That's a kind of a bizarre thing for most people. You love me? Really? Why we have kids, right? It's a very selfish thing. I want you to love me. I want somebody in this world to love me. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I don't care that you're selfish. Or something that wakes you up. Something so delightful, something you want to eat, something you want to understand, something you never experienced before on your bucket list that you have to do. That's how people start to regenerate. That's how people start to believe again in themselves. And then all these illnesses say, I don't need to stay here because I don't need to teach you a lesson. That, that you believe you're sinful, there's something wrong with you, that you always are never going to be good enough, that, you're not as good as that person, you're not unique, and blah, blah, blah. That's what makes you ill. It's too much negativity, too much. Yeah. To destroy negativity, I told you, like I used to say, Adonai, 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 very strongly to a negative belief, and it would start to destroy it. You can destroy it. Mm-hmm. And then you have to choose what would be the opposite of that, or what is its balance? What's the complementary emotion to what I'm feeling right now? And do I have a mentor or an example of somebody that I could merge with, that I could feel what would be their emotion? Of course, for me, that's like a goddess, I will imagine Hecate, and I'll ask, what would be your emotion in this circumstance? What would you feel? And then I would align myself to how she feels. It could be St. Francis, could be anybody. I want to align, what would they do?
Yeah.
And you don't compare yourself, you just take on their mindset because you've never had it in your life. There's never been somebody who's championed you or, one of my lovely experiences in Italy, I was in an airplane and the people didn't know next to me how to put on their safety belt. They have never been on a plane.
Yeah.
And they had a little son who didn't even look like them, was incredibly beautiful kid. And they said to me, he's a computer genius in Italian. And we don't know how he ended up in our family. We're very poor, very simple people. And so I looked at the kid, I looked at them, and I gave him my computer. And there he was on the airplane playing with my computer. And I had an extra iPad, so I said, here, that's yours. You take it with you when you leave.
Wow.
And that opened him, and I said, you have a very bright future.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the naysayers.
Yeah.
You chose a poor family to show people that you can overcome poverty, that poverty is not the way to live. There's too much here, and it has to be shared. And you don't have to steal it to share it. You have to have abilities. My favorite worlds, there are other planetary systems. My favorite are the ones without money, where people have gone beyond and everything is based on achievements. Everybody's paid equally. More important is the merit system of achievement, that, you're a good doctor, you're a good healer, you're a good therapist, you're a good, business person, whatever. And it's all equal. That is how I believe we should always live. But we have a lot of evolution to go to. Money was created for us to learn.
Yeah.
And have we really learned those lessons yet? I hope so soon. You often talk about healing and penetrating somebody to reach their core.
Yeah.
Sometimes their inner child, is the one that needs the most love to heal, because the lower body is, it's quite automatic. And when you're too off balance, it's no longer functioning properly because your mind has been filtering so much negativity, meaning what we take into ourselves, is what we're going to also put out into the world. So we have to be very careful what we're listening to. The thought forms are all around us, not just the doctors. The news is giving us thought forms, or there's negativity all day long, always worrying about this political situation and that person. And did you hear that terrible story and that terrible story? If you accumulate too many terrible stories that the media, as you know, has to sell, people take too much of that in them, and it glues to something else they believe inside. And that can create illness too. It can unbalance you. Yeah. Because it shocks your system in a way that you don't believe in life anymore. You believe too much in death. Death doesn't exist. That's all an illusion. We always live, and there is no end. We were created as infinite, and we are infinite beings. The most important thing in shamanism, remember, is infinity. So I always talk to the cells when I say, you are infinity too, And they look at me, really? Because they believe they're material sometimes. And I say, no, you're infinite. There will be no end. And there's an evolution for you. Even as a cancer cell, would you like to learn your evolution? Teach us about this is a cancer cell. They want to know too. And then you start to explain to them. Because all the cells in your body look to you as a God. You're their God. You're a goddess for all the cells in your body. And you know that they only want to serve you. So you change your belief towards something original, something, creational. You recreate yourself. That's what you do. You're always doing that. They follow you and they say, okay, we want to help you. Let's achieve that goal. Then you have a goal, maybe perfect health, or maybe joyful stasis of health, or maybe, and I am a firm believer in the original cell in your body, that the very first division of cells, those first 8 cells that is like every church window and everything that we see, eight, like a spider, creating yourself. That first original cell is the mother cell. And if you can talk to the original mother cell in the middle of your body, you can tell all your cells what you want them to do, which is to get younger, which is to take a spiral and go backward. All shamans take a spiral and they go back on the spiral, back to when they're young, so that we have more life force and energy, more vitality. Back to the mother cell I go. All my cells will follow, through and through. I go back through my mother cell. Like a bell, follow. And then I see the spiral going backward. It's like a pearl that's moving backward in little grooves. And finally, it finds its groove. And it says, I'm going to be younger. I want people to have more vital energy. I understand that on Earth, people don't want to be immortal, or they don't want to live longer like they're supposed to, because they say there's too many people on the Earth. There's 8.5 billion. There's not enough room. But the Earth can have 10 billion. That's as much as it can take. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that all of us could learn techniques to be younger, to have more vital energy, that it's practice and it's discipline, and it's worth it. That's what original Nephilim, whatever these people were like. They were people who had incredible knowledge. Because they listened to spirits, by the way, Giovanni. They listened to divinities. They listened to their own soul. You have that.
Ooh.
Because you talk to it inside of somebody else. It's like you're talking to yourself, and you coax them out and you see much more than they can see. And then you slowly help them to see what you see in them. And then one day, they have a dream or something where they come out of the dark cave.
Yeah.
You do that, you're leading them out of darkness, out of our own illusions that we think are real. None of them are real. What's real is something so extraordinary. I can't even describe it to you, what's real. And it's possible to have a glimpse of that here. It won't destroy you. It'll destroy your past, though.
Yeah.
It'll destroy who you think you are.
But when someone asks you how to contact, how to listen to the guides,
it's your enlightened mind. It's intuition. You first have to believe you have an enlightened mind. Second, you have to listen to your intuition. It's that voice that's always been there, that's not the one that tells you to do bad things, that tells you to be an addict, to follow it. That's all programming. Believe me, there is very bad programming in the world. You must choose what your programming is. It's all zeros and X's, and it's all zeros and ones, actually. And your choice, the free will choice, very, very important. What do you listen to? What do you allow in? To understand death, I know a lot of people in Italy and they didn't understand, what do I do with death? Well, you make her into a woman, a goddess, like a Santa Muerte. Yeah. And you start to talk to her and you realize it's not just to protect you so you can do, evil deeds or whatever you want to do. It is to listen, because she reminds you of what is beyond death. What is the voice inside of you that protects you, that knows you through and through? Because you're going to meet her. If you keep invoking her, you're going to meet her, and that's always a gigantic encounter. In Italy, many centuries ago, I remember an old incarnation where we taught, people in Italy how to make money. This was a new thing, how to want more. So we taught them, rituals like the Medicis and all these people, Hermetics, they taught. Specific rituals, how to make money. You see it in their houses. It's full of, to me, I walk into a Medici palace and I can see all the esoteric symbols everywhere. They were doing a ritual to make money. But if you abuse that ritual, if you do it over and over again and don't realize the consequences of having all that money without balancing it with the other spiritual work, you end up becoming fully greedy and it will destroy you.
Yeah.
And then you're just a name in the past. So balance is everything when you're listening. You can learn something great and then misuse it. Because you only do one thing. You don't balance it. I won't tell you the truth about the world, about, witches and everything like that, how wonderful they are. They're actually quite wonderful. They're actually changing the world right now because there are so many. I mean, the Vatican is actually right about that. And they can create illnesses, on a massive scale. They do that, but it's for good. They're doing that because they are the cutting edge of evolution, always have been. And the fact that Italy was one of the most important places for these healers, for these women of incredible powers and grimoires and knowledge over centuries, they can change the world. And because they do have the original knowledge. I hate to say it, they really do, in a wonderful way. So I would be a little bit more kind to people with power. I would be a little bit more kind to those that know and have a grimoire. I would be much more respectful. When I'm with a Native American, I'm incredibly respectful. I believe they have knowledge. And that humility, that I'm willing to learn and I will not doubt what you're saying and I will just do it by rote. That it agrees with me. And I'm willing to learn and put myself on the edge. So what happens is, I think we change. We listen to that voice. Like my own teachers, I listened to their voice. And that voice led me to my higher self. So whatever you believe is your holy guardian angel or your higher self.
Okay.
Only tune into that and demand it. Say, that's the only thing I want to hear. I only want my higher self. And one day, because you asked for it, everything you ask for, you always get as a human being.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
If it's in your life plan, definitely. You planned it. And everybody has planned to know their higher self.
Yeah.
So Giovanna, that's how you get your guide. That's how you get everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was once in the Acropolis. Kristos and I were eating near the Acropolis, some little restaurant.
Yeah.
And you want to take the photograph of the Acropolis in Athens. And in that photograph, because I love Greece so much, there was a picture of all three of my guides, kind of saying, hi, here we are in a triangle, right over my chest, saying hello. When Kristos first called his spiritual guide, he physically appeared in his bedroom and he screamed and ran across the street. He was so scared.
I can believe it.
Be careful what you ask for because they are real. Yeah. Sometimes more real than this world.
Yeah. I saw the pictures Kristos published months ago. Your pictures with all the guides around. And so I have to admit that I tried to take picture of myself. Then, okay, but I told myself, when they come to Italy, they will take picture and we'll see.
Well, that the mother of God, because, God has a mother.
Yeah.
She's the one who appears in Lourdes and Fatima in Ethiopia. She appears all over the world. She appeared in a picture with me for 24 hours. Every single picture anybody took of me, there she was.
You told me. Yes, it's impressive.
But why? Why was she there? To have faith.
Yeah.
To know that I exist.
Yeah.
That she's there. Please tell people I exist. I don't just come when there's a war.
Yeah.
I come when you're sincere and you want to know me. And she comes through, a vortex or how do you describe? I don't know how to describe this to you, but there are ways to open portals. What we call a crossroad. Wherever two roads cross or fork, she can come, she can appear. And there she was.
Yeah.
Wherever the two worlds meet. The crossroad is so ancient, like Babylon, I'm one of these funny people who say Sodom and Gomorrah was not a bad place. It was actually a place of freedom where people, believed in what they believed. And some false god destroyed it with a nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? But maybe we have to rethink all the history we were taught. Maybe it's all wrong. Yeah. And maybe we don't have to murder and rape and all these things. We really have to remember that freedom, the ability to finally enjoy life and to make decisions and to follow divinity in us or our higher self, is such a liberation.
Yeah.
I do a practice where I go into the void. This is something I do quite a lot. I go into the space of the void, and the void is scary because there's nothing beneath you, there's nothing above you, there's no time, there's no space, and you have to stay there. That's when you call your power animal, because the power animal comes out of the blackness, and there they are. And in the void, you can call anything you want, and they will have to come because they are all created out of Akasha, out of the void. And you stay there long enough, you're in infinity. And you're preparing yourself for beyond this life. Do you know how nice it is after you die? How nice Hades and Persephone and all these gods are? Do you know how lovely it is? You know, what people call heaven is because they take care of you. Because they want you to find the right place for you to heal. Because they take you to the towers, which are like a hospital on the other side. You know, it's just so amazing that they nurture you. And isn't that what you're doing, Giovanna, as a healer? How you nurture and at the same time tell the truth. You know, the truth that cuts through everything so that they maybe get a glimpse of what their higher self is trying to say underneath all the garbage they've been taught. You know, people are quite enslaved in their minds, you know, to believe in everything false, everything. When the doctor says, you know, you'll have 1 month to live, it's not true. It's not a written in stone thing. Most religions tell us things that are actually part of their religions. And you know, whatever they got from those ancient books, maybe we should go back to the ancient books and read them. I have read ancient books, alchemical books. I know that the original Garden of Eden is actually the mother universe we all came from. I know that one day the earth will even spiral back to that. I know that we come from somewhere so far away. We're travelers. And we are incredible researchers. You know, this is why we write books. This is why we share so much, why we never stop. The whole universe is fascinated by us, that we don't stop. We don't get stuck anywhere. We travel. Whether you're on a broom or like a shaman, you know, you travel, you know, with a drum or however you want to travel. You can know the universe, all the universe. That's extraordinary. That's what they experimented with in the Renaissance too. There are other universes, hey, and we can meet them, and it's scary, you know, it's a little scary because they don't know the rules here. They don't know we have laws. Every universe has different laws. When you're working in healing with people and you have compassion, because I told you the third eye is cold hard facts, but the heart, and you understand me because my only dedication is to the heart of the universe, the heart of matter, the heart of our creator. Because we are devotional people, we are devoted. And we are devoted to love, actually. You especially are devoted to love. And I am devoted completely to love. It's so rare here, love, you know, there's so little of it. But once we connect to our higher self, whatever, I hate to say it, but all the guides are incredibly loving. So wherever is our block to love, whatever is where we resist love, that we don't feel worthy, it's always unworthiness, right? It's always shame and guilt. None of that is real. Guilt is not even an emotion. It's not a feeling. It's all religious programming or political programming. You know, a lot of it is political. So once we get rid of that programming, inch by inch, we take it off. There's no separation. There's no difference. It's one humanity. It's a oneness of women too, that to elevate each other. And even those that want to destroy it all and think they have so much power through destruction, it's fine. There's a place for you. It's just not that. It's not to destroy what is already developing and evolving. We all are here to evolve. Your evolution very different than another person. They could be at the very beginning, Giovanna. They could be so new here. So meet the Titan. Meet the more ancient, the before the gods. You know what I mean? The Titans actually gave us the greatest gift. And I wish everybody could remember them and receive that power. Because then you don't only have to do all the disciplines of, you know, the East, where you turn into your rainbow body. I mean, it's very difficult and you have to be, in a cave for a very long time. Why not everybody understand their original self, which are titans, huge. And when we meet them and they give us our powers, not to misuse them. And then to live in that original society of one language. Because Giovanna, you asked me about frequency. At one time, humanity only had one language. And because they had one language, they never aged. They never died.
Yeah.
They lived for a very long time. And everything was possible. So the confusion of languages brought about death and brought about confusion on every level.
Yeah.
So we don't need a Tower of Babel. We need one language, the original. And they always put down Babylon, oh, she's a whore, or she's bad, or that. Actually, that was the time of the original language. And so, we're all trying to find one language on earth to speak.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating, when the guides speak to you, they could speak in any language, or somebody can speak to you in another language and you understand them.
Yeah.
Because somehow it gets translated into the original language, the solar language.
Yeah.
That always gives me hope. That may be the language of healing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're here for that one language, that original language, because that's the best way to heal.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me that I want to thank Paula. Yes. Because she will translate everything in language.
Paula.
Yeah. No, she's really lovely, and we are together in the meditation of the rose. So, and I want to thank her because she will translate for every Italian listener.
Well, I'm very partial to certain people. I have favorites. So, Giovanna, you're one of our favorites. You're one of those people we just love and respect and care for. That whatever happens, even when you die, whatever, we be there for you. Just to say, well done, well done.
Thank you. And from a physician in Italy, you cannot expect this.
Yay! Your doorways, all your doors.
The tarots.
I'm going to teach you a new oracle, though. I'm going to teach you a new oracle because I found one that I love. But I love tarot. That's the great oracle. Oh. And the, obviously the witchy one too. But there's another oracle I love also. I found an oracle that I'm now using that I don't know what it is. There's 35 different symbols on rock. You just use rocks or bones or whatever. But 35 and very easy to learn and unbelievably accurate.
Great.
And you are a master of divination systems. I would love for you to put out your own divination.
Yeah. Yes, I love this kind of work with healing.
Self-revealing, yes. Yeah. Self-revealing,
yeah. When you told us about religions and the different approaches, I think we should be kind. I'm talking to Italian listeners.
Yes.
We should be kind to African people because they have really extraordinary way to heal and to treat. And I learned from you this, really. They are bringing us also a culture of healing. And all these rituals with the candles also. And they are extraordinary. They are extraordinary. I have a friend here in Milan. She's from Mali. And she's a healer. She has a restaurant. But I send patients to the restaurant, just telling them, go there and have a dinner. And I mean, really.
You can heal through food, always. Yes.
Yeah.
I love the nurturing.
Yeah.
She can put the thought forms into the food.
Yeah. But also she speaks and she sees. Yes. Before you go into the restaurant, she sees. I'm just trying to say that we should have respect of everyone. And every culture has really important things to give and to say. And yes, we
It's the
should
end of
have
racism. Yes, it's the end of racism right now
yeah,
on
exactly.
the earth. This century is the end of racism.
Should
This is
be.
the undoing of the past.
Yeah, all the forms of racism. I mean,
This is
all
this
the
is the
forms.
reparation. I agree. Everyone, whoever it is, maybe it's the Kurds, maybe it's can be any group.
Yeah,
But I believe we must go beyond religion now to what unites things.
yeah,
What is inside of people that makes us humanity. Obviously, the only way to forgive yourself is to understand you're human.
yeah,
Our shared humanity and all our amazing collective mistakes
yeah,
is for us to finally say, okay,
yeah,
I'm not perfect. This is not a perfect world,
yeah,
but it is an incredible world of making reparations
yeah,
and finally saying, I love the Ho'oponopono idea in Hawaii. I forgive you, no
yeah,
matter how terrible they were, no matter what they did to me, or they raped me, they hurt me, whatever. I forgive you. I love you. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I say that to everybody I meet. That has hurt me or has wounded me so deeply. I'm sorry. I forgive you because I held it for so long, that
yeah,
anger at them. You know what I mean? And that unforgiveness.
yeah,
And reminding myself, how it is that's not just Italian to remember all the bad things people did to you. But that moment of forgiveness where you forgo the debt. I no longer hold you to the debt anymore. It's not for me to judge you.
yeah,
You will be judged in your own eyes. You have your own inner developer who says, no, that wasn't so great. And you have to review that one day out of your own mind. But I move on. And I also learned, okay, you hurt me too many times. 3 strikes are out. Now I do 1 strike, you're out, but that's me. And I no longer associate with you. And that isolation, when many people leave you as a friend, it's because you're not a friend.
yeah,
So learn to be a friend, but I forgive you. I just don't have to associate with you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't need the same torture over every day. And if it's your mother, you just say, well, you have your life, you believe this. So I let you, it's right, it's right for you, for your life. It's not right for me to try to change you.
yeah,
And so comes independence, and you must follow your own path, and you must meet different people. You have to meet your tribe now. It's quite a tribal time. This is Africa. Please meet your tribe again. They've been through so much genocide and destruction of families, and oh my God. And they are incredible survivors.
Yeah.
And many of them are incredible peacemakers.
Yeah.
Because the peacemakers are the ones that keep getting overthrown. The ones who have principles and who live by their principles and live by their ideals. Don't think that you can just do whatever you want here. There are ethics, and ethics will get you to realizations. That's the funny thing. And these people who are just blinded by their own need and struggle for power and feeling so insecure about having nothing. Africa has incredible resources, and they have been mined beyond anything.
Yeah.
And it disturbs the earth. They say in Africa, you're disturbing the dragons with all this mining.
Yeah.
And that there's consequences to that. And those consequences we see in the violence that erupts from the earth.
Yeah.
So I think people have to be able to resist that. They have to be able to take care of their own resources better. And they have to learn how to, how to steward the earth. Because once they do that, Africa is a very rich continent. They are the next Arabs,
Yeah.
Because as you know, oil will run out one day, and then it's over. If you don't plan for the future, it's over.
Oh, so I am very lucky because in a few days I will see you and Kristos in Milan. I'm really lucky. But anyway, everyone is lucky now because they are listening to you. And now I want to thank you. And I want to thank you and Kristos, because he's not here, but he's always here. And I want to tell that during these years, you really gave me the sense of being here, of living, of loving and healing myself and taking care of people. Really, I have to thank you. And one thing about love, Kristos 4 years ago told me that the following year, my father would pass. I can tell that love he used to tell me really gave me a tremendous gift. Just to tell people that it's not what you say, but how you say. Really. It's something I will never forget, because he told me something, of course, something bad, but in a way I accepted. I could be prepared and I could be of really help.
Yes.
And so really it was wonderful from him, really. And you, I mean, my relationship with you is more, frequent, but well, whenever you tell me something, it's full of love, it's full of truth, and it helps me to go on. So I'm sure this video will help many, many people. And so thank you, because they needed to know you, and they will know you and Kristos more and more. And I want to tell them that if they want to reach you, you have the website. We will put your website for the private sessions and courses and lessons. And thank you.
You know, everything Kristos has ever said to somebody came true. He's never told really an untrue.
Yeah, yeah.
He is always my example. He's the one I look up to.
Yeah.
He's the one I believe in.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. That's my part. Thank you, Ivana.
Thank you.
He says to your face what he says behind your back. That I love about him.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, but it's very,
you were prepared for your father. He's amazing, Kristos, I would say.
Oh, yes. My
better half.
Yeah. You both are really amazing and full of love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.